Steve, at the end of the first day, frustration, having taken the lead, gone 2 up, even though you were down to 10 men?
Yeah, to go 2 up and lose it was cruel, because I think our performance on the whole, even with 10 men, we should have got the 3 points. I think that was plain for everybody to see, but when you go down to 10 men in the Premier League, first game of the season, is difficult. But even then, the only threat that they possessed was the set pieces, and unfortunately we got deeper and deeper, and they've punished us with 2 set pieces, and the second one's a bit of luck really, and sometimes that can happen to you, but overall the performance was terrific.
You'll obviously complain about Lee Cattermole's sending off, or certainly the first yellow card.
Yes, the first yellow card I'm going to question, because it always seems to be Lee be the target. Now, he's got to learn. The second one I've got no problem with, because after he's received the yellow card, then he's got to have a little bit more common sense than he's shown. But it seems to me that there's a sort of witch hunt against him. I mean, the first yellow card, I believe the referees told me, is for kicking the ball away. Now, nobody in the ground understood that at all, because all he did was pass it to their opponent, as far as I'm aware. So that is harsh, but he's overall refereeing the game, and I know the Premier League is tough, and if we're going to fast track officials through who've only refereed for 4 years, then we must make sure that they're exceptional, because this is an exceptional league. And today, unfortunately, in my opinion, the referee, unfortunately, was out of his depth, and we've got to look at that, because it ruined the game. In the second half, over a throw-in, there was near enough carnage pursuing, and anything was going on. It was a free-for-all, so it was disappointing, because the last thing I want to be doing is standing here talking about officials, but he did, obviously, make big mistakes, and the big decisions he got wrong. And that's not just because we had a player sent off, but his overall refereeing, in my opinion, wasn't up to it.
Andy Taylor, 31, first season on the elite list, even though it wasn't his first Premier League game today. But you felt the occasion got to him a little bit?
Yeah, I thought he was caught up with the whole thing and wanted to show the red yellow cards, and unfortunately, as I said, the more and more he produced, the worse the referee got. And as I said, if we're going to go and fast track people, I'm all for fast tracking people, but to fast track them into the Premier League, they've got to be exceptional. And his performance, unfortunately, today left a lot, unfortunately, to be desired.
Can you offer him any feedback, or can you have an opportunity to speak to
him? Not really. We'll put in our report like we normally do. And as I said, the last thing I want to be doing is complaining about officials. But I think everybody witnessed it today, from you guys to the radio guys to the supporters, the crowd, and it ruined the game as far as I'm concerned.
A shame, given the start that you made.
The start, and even till 75 minutes, we were terrific. It was inevitable we're going to tire when you're playing against 10 men. It was a shame, because our performance needed to hang on. We needed to hang on, but we've made a lot of changes again. Something like 25 players have left the club in 12 months. So there's big changes. They'll get better. There's a youthfulness about us again, which was nice to see.
And more changes on the way. It's been a bit of a revolving door, and the likes of Riveros, who've been in South America or South Africa this summer.
Well,
he just arrived on Wednesday, Thursday morning.
He arrived yesterday. He arrived yesterday for this silly friendly we had, but everybody had. So he arrived yesterday and just got off a plane. So, yeah, it's like a new player walking through the door again. And as I said, there's been a huge turnover and a huge change. So obviously we need time for them players to settle in. 4 making their debut today in the Premier League, which is a bit of a first. But I was pleased with every single one of them.
In the second half to pull it back to 2-2.
Yeah, well, my pre-match team talk was about the resilience they showed last year, and I think that the players finally got recognition for that after we were tipped in the early part of the season with pundits to be one of the relegation candidates. But there's more pressure on us this season, there's more expectations, and that's my next challenge to the players. And I don't think we played great at all today. Thought we were a little bit sluggish in certain areas. We obviously a bit unfortunate at the penalty decision, being outside the box. So that's a setback. But I knew that we always had it in us to fight back. Although Sunderland will lament the fact that they were down to 10 men and eventually it caught up with them. But in saying that, it took 2 fantastic deliveries from set pieces for us to get the goals.
You mentioned the penalty. It was a very, very tight call, and the majority might say it was outside the penalty area, the initial contact.
there's no doubt about it. It was outside. There's daylight between the 18-yard line and the contact by Stevie Carr. I felt we should have dealt better with it anyway. You know, it was a goal out of nothing for Sunderland, and I think we certainly can't afford to give cheap goals away in this league, because normally you get punished. Stevie might argue that had these 11 men stayed on, they'd have won. But then they go ahead and they actually played very well with the 10 men. For a time I thought our guys were all over the place, but credit to them in the way they fought back.
Tremendous resilience, particularly after he went 2 down, an own goal from Stephen Carr, but to still keep pressing away and to get the first goal when you did that make a big difference? Was that the key really, to give yourself a foothold with a little bit of time to go?
We had to score the next goal, Tony, at 2-0, and Sunderland maybe feel breathing space. But I know that the way football people think, and Steve and Eric Black would be saying hopefully they don't get a goal because it would give them a big surge. But we got that breakthrough, and it kind of knocked a wee bit of the stuffing out of Sunderland, and we just kept going.
You haven't been that busy in the transfer market during the summer months. You stayed with essentially the team you had last season, apart from your goalkeeper Zigic on the bench, but he could be quite influential simply for his presence up front.
He's got a huge presence. He's got to learn a little bit in terms of the English game and how aggressive it is, and for his height, he's got to win more in the air than you would expect. But I'll be working with the big fella. We lost him last week due to these international games that were an absolute burden. When you're trying to work for a new season, then you would need. I wanted to work with players, but 6 or 7 of them were away. It was ridiculous preparation for a new season. You may argue that we had all that time in the pre-season, but most of the rest of the pre-season is about fitness, and the final 2 weeks are about the technical side and working on your tactics. So this week I'll be all systems go with Zigic and the way the English game is. I'll show him countless tapes, and hopefully it will help the big fella to settle in quickly, because we need players that will hit the ground running. You know, not a player who's going to take 6 months or a year to settle in. And he knows he's a big name player, and then there's more pressure on him as well. So he's a guy who has to deliver as well.
And Gary O'Connor, fit again, will put him under pressure. But what's the extent of his injury today?
I got an elbow on the head. You know, the challenge itself, it's for me it's dangerous, but Gary's got stitches in his eye, and he will probably be okay for the next game, because I've had countless number of stitches myself, and I've played the very next game, so I wouldn't think it would keep him out. If he's got a little slight concussion or something, then I'm not sure. We'll need to wait and see over the next 24 hours. But Gary's worked hard to get back. Didn't quite go for him in Cameron today, but the two of them still worked hard, and that's the least you can give us. If the technical side is not quite there, then the least you can give the Birmingham fans is to work your socks off.